I'm Felina Jean, and this is Black Broads Abroad. I'm an international woman of leisure who said peace out to the United States in 2011, and I have not looked back, except at this ass, honey. Since then, I've lived on 4 continents with travel to over 40 countries. Along my journey, I've come to know some very compelling Black women from all over the world who also said fuck you to their comfort zones. I created this podcast to inspire Black women in the diaspora to take risks and live their very best lives. Kamara grew up knowing that she wanted to travel the world and teach. Her name Kamara means one who teaches. So you could say that molding young minds was her destiny. She was born and grew up in Shaker Heights, Ohio, but is a nomad at heart. Kamara received her BA from Clark Atlanta University and her MA from Teachers College, Columbia University. Kamara is coming from London, where she taught 3rd grade at the American School in London. She spent 6 years teaching at the Spence School in New York City. Kamara has also taught in Beijing, Tampa, and Abu Dhabi. In total, she has been teaching for 20 years. In her spare time, Kamara enjoys making jewelry for her company, Peacock Bijou, as well as a line of luxe pet accessories for her company, Puppy Bijou. One of her ongoing passions is helping others. She's a certified life coach focusing in the areas of educational relocation, debt reduction, life empowerment, and expat lifestyle. Drawing upon her background in education and 20 years of experience, Kamara has a unique appreciation of mindset and the power it has to change lives. She enjoys helping clients develop new skills that will allow them to access available resources that support them in the future. She delights in working with adults, families, and children. Kamara has been an avid traveler her whole life. She has traveled to over 40 countries and has lived in Abu Dhabi, London, Beijing, and now Cairo. She is currently learning Arabic and aspires to become a member of the Travelers Century Club within the next 5 years. Welcome, Kamara.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wait, what is the Traveler Century Club? I'm not hip to that. What's that?
Well, apparently when I wrote this bio, it was several years ago because now I'm up to 80 countries. So I only have 20 more countries to go. So when you reach 100 countries or territories, then you can become part of the Traveler Century Club. So it's just a goal. No pressure.
Oh, that's light work. You already 80% there. So,
I know.
I'm going to give a little background on how we came to know each other. So through the group Nomad Travel Tribe, we started OGs like back in 2011. Yes. But we discovered that we had some familial bonds like for generations actually, because my grandfather, who was leaving the Marine Corps like in the early 60s, late 50s, your grandmother used to take him to West Virginia State University when he was earning his bachelor's degree. And I've always heard stories about your family and your granddaddy. He owned all the property in Charleston and used to count his money with the windows open and nobody messed with him. So I'm happy to be
stories for days about how she would just go up to his office and he would just cut her checks for like whatever. I mean, my great grandfather, he was a G.
Yes, definitely.
I definitely come from like strong stock. It's to listen to you retell my bio, it almost brings tears to my eyes because sometimes you just walk around in your own bubble and you don't realize what you've done or the impact or how much you have helped people. And even like, I can't even take all the credit myself. I mean, I come from a long line of doers, people, right? People who just do. And so it's just in my blood. I can't not, continue this legacy that, my great grandfather, the one that you mentioned, Anderson Brown, he actually took the state of West Virginia to court to integrate the public libraries.
Wow.
But he was who didn't even graduate from high school. You know what I'm saying? So for a Black man in Charleston, West Virginia,
coal mining country, like that's like like that's like 2% Black or something.
Right? And they all live in Kanawha County. Like it's like, how can I not be successful? Like when you come from stock like that, every day you have to walk in your royalty. You have to walk with your head up, you know?
That's right. I mean, we both definitely come from pedigree. That's for sure. And we're going to get into like your work with helping people because girl, you have gotten me all the way together on a couple of occasions, and the trajectory of my life might have been much different if it was not for your help. So my first question for you is, what was your first entree into your expat experience? Because you're a 4-time expat now, right?
Yes. I would have to say I was teaching in Tampa, and I was 5 years into teaching. So mid to late 20s, and I was exhausted. And, you know, I was at a Title I school, wasn't getting paid anything. Mom had to like send me money every month, money and wine, because that's how stressful. And I told myself, I said, there has got to be a way that I can combine traveling with teaching. And it's like when you talk to the universe listens, because as soon as I said that, I ran into a coworker and he started talking about how he just came back from teaching at the American School in Madrid. And I was like, what? And I'll never forget, this had to be like September. And I sat in his office and he said, he broke it down. He said, this is what you need to do. And by October, I had applied to the job fair. And I want to say I went to the job fair in either January or February. So, and then I was offered positions I was offered positions in Kuwait, where was Moscow, Bogota. I was offered, and so I was actually standing in line to interview for the American School in Dubai. And I don't know what happened. I got moved over, and next thing I know, I'm being offered a job in Abu Dhabi. And I'm like, but wait, I interviewed in Dubai. Like, where am I going? And I like to tell people that when I got offered this job in Abu Dhabi, there were no direct flights to Abu Dhabi. So when people are like, oh, I kick it in the middle, no, boo. There were no direct flights to Abu Dhabi. I flew from New York, okay? New York to Frankfurt to Kuwait, Kuwait to Abu Dhabi.
Wow, was this in the 90s, early 2000s?
This was the early 2000s, yes. It was the early 2000s. And so I just tell people, like, okay, yeah, you've been to Dubai, but let me tell you when I went. And let me tell you when I lived there, there was only one mall. There was only one mall in Abu Dhabi.
That's unbelievable.
Girl, let me tell you.
That's perspective for your, because that place is lit with malls.
Girl, right? There's a mall on every corner now. They have a Krispy Kreme. What are you talking about? So Abu Dhabi was my first, and it just was like, I could do this, you know? And I stayed there for 2 years, and then I wanted a bigger city. I wanted Abu Dhabi was really small back then. It was really just on the island. And so then after that, I was in Beijing for 4 years.
How long were you in Abu Dhabi?
I was just there for 2 years.
2 years. Okay. You had your standard contract and completed.
Exactly. So contracts are usually 2 years. So I stayed there for 2 years.
So then Beijing.
Yes, I was in Beijing for 4 years. And also I wanted to move to Beijing because I needed to be around more Black people. You could count the number of Americans, Black Americans, not Africans, but Black Americans, because the experience is very different. It's very different. So there were a lot of Africans in Abu Dhabi, but there are not a lot of African Americans. And I was constantly asked by African women, like, why aren't you covered? Where's your husband? Why are you alone? And so there wasn't relationships. And there just were not the African Americans community that is there now. So when I moved to Beijing, I was like, I need to know there are some people that look like me. And I tell you what, I'm still friends with those folks from Beijing. Like, one of my homegirls, she just had to cancel her wedding in May in Arizona. And we are the best of friends from Beijing. I ran into a guy who moved to London. Like, we ran into each other on the underground. And we had been friends in Beijing. Evita had a party at her house 6 months before I left. I ran into a guy, his name was Cliff, and we started talking, found out that we were in Beijing at the same time. He didn't believe me, and I started pulling up pictures and numbers of people. He was like, oh boy, that's the, he was like, you really were in Beijing. I was like, yes. So, you know, we had Black Thanksgiving, and, you know, we would have spade night and everything. Like, that community tight.
It don't get no blacker than that, than spade night.
But someone was making, you know, passing around recipes for the roux, and we were like, okay, all right, mess up that jambalaya if you want to.
Oh, so now you're in Cairo. You had a stop before that in London, but as I mentioned in your bio, you've had a 20-year run as an educator. What has been the biggest challenge and your greatest reward as an international teaching professional?
I would say my biggest challenge was my last position in London, and the racism, and that took me out. It took me out. It took me all experience this. And even my mentor, who came and did diversity training, was like, you know, I'm only here because of you. And he was like, and this, he goes, yeah, it's there's something in the water here. But I would say also, you know, out of that comes, you know, I did diversity work, and I was, you know, a diversity coordinator, one of several diversity coordinators for the lower school. And that just fueled me. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to like pivot to this work, you know, with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, you know, when I came to Cairo, that was like one of the first things I stepped into. And unfortunately, with all of everything going on with the coronavirus, like, moving forward right now is not optimal, you know, but when the time comes, I'll start right back up, because it's needed. It's needed, especially overseas. And thankfully, I have an administrator who understands that our school could be a leader in diversity, equity, and inclusion work. And that, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And that's not only is that important, but, you know, where there's always pushback is often where there's the greatest need.
That's a whole sermon. I mean, I remember, this is actually a lead up to my next question, because, you know, I've had 2 dark times where I've had to like come to you, and you got me all the way together. And I remember, I think it was 2012, I just moved back from Brazil, and I was in the States. I was there for like a few months, and, you know, I came back thinking, I'm an impeccably credentialed professional. I have a breadth of international experience. Surely I can get a job at home. I could not find a job. And I just remember you reaching out to me, and you just gave me, it was like a life coach session. It was, you just gave me the rundown, like, boom, you got to do this, and the third. And you're really responsible for my trajectory into international education. And so I really appreciate that. And it leads me to my next question, because in recent years, you've made a bit of a career pivot, and now you can add certified life coach to your title. So what was the impetus behind the decision to go ahead and get certified for something that comes quite naturally for you?
I have surrounded myself by women who are doing the same thing, who are entrepreneurs, who are travelers, who, you know, have the same ups and downs that I do. And so I still am friends with Kimberly West, and she had brought some women down to Atlanta for a weekend. And halfway through the weekend, I don't know, I was talking to another young lady, and Kim was like, "Why is she not here?" And I was like, "Well, I wasn't invited." And she was like, "Well, that was dumb." And then and she gave me the training to become a certified life coach. And I started, you know, Teach, Travel, and Learn, which helps international educators go overseas. And so that, and it just is the thing that pushes me, because one, we're not out here. The perception of us when we do come out, and when I say us, I mean Black people, and for me, Black women, right? African American women, and how we're perceived, right? And for me, as an educator, it also isn't too far of a stretch if you're really looking to pivot just from the United States, period. So it just is something that I could talk to people about for days, you know, and then it just became a business, you know, it just became something that I could do. So that's, you know, helping people. It's what I do on a daily basis when I'm in the classroom. Mm-hmm. So it just made sense also to help adults, because, you know, I'm walking down the street the other day and I run into another African American lady, and we just are like in 5 minutes just bonding, you know, that's something so special about us, you know. So I want more of us to be out here. There's more than enough for us to all be out here and thriving.
That's for sure. So, okay, we just mentioned that you're living in Egypt. You're living in Cairo currently. How are you enjoying it there? And how has your work and your personal life been impacted by this pandemic?
Cairo is amazing. It's gritty, it's hectic, it's pedantic, it's, you know, it's dirty, it's, you know, it's all of those things, right? It's all of those things you see on TV and more, you know. But there's also something about being in Africa, and there's also something about one, you know, the sun is out every day. And for me, that was another thing in London. I could not take the low-hanging clouds and the dreary weather. So I was like, no, ma'am, you need to be someplace warm and sunny. And so Cairo, and I was actually here in Cairo 15, 16 years ago and envisioned myself living here, you know? So yes, that's another story for another day. But again, the universe always is listening. It's not always on your time, on your timetable, but the universe is listening. And I remember asking myself, being here, what would it be like to live here? And I could live here. And here I am, you know? And so I feel like it's the place where I'm supposed to be right now. So, and with this pandemic, I mean, we're pretty much on lockdown, and we have a 7:00 curfew till 6 or 7 in the morning. There are no stores open. Grocery stores, pharmacies, yes, but like restaurants are closed, movie theaters, malls. Girl, my eyebrows look a mess. I'm gonna need this. Girl, I tried to get an appointment in before they shut everything down, but everything. Girl, the dog's looking a mess. The groomer can't come. Like, it's a mess.
That's your baby.
Girl, he smells so ripe right now. And it's just like, I don't know what we're going to do. So yeah, everything they're taking it pretty seriously. The only thing is, though, I don't think that they have a handle on the numbers, because I don't think people are getting tested.
That seems to be the case. A lot of places. I've been like reading some news reports that are saying that like the Emirates, that they're fudging their numbers, that the numbers that are coming out of the Middle East are not actually accurate. But I'm so happy that you made the transition to Cairo, because I just remember being in communication with you when you were at the job in London, and I know how much you were ready to go, and God divinely positioned you at the right school, at the right location. You know, you actually put me on to Sharm el Sheikh.
Really?
You did. You put me on to a lot of stuff, girl. That's like honeycomb hideout status. So,
Girl.
as a 4-time expat, Abu Dhabi, Beijing, London, and now Cairo, has the transition gotten easier with each new country that you've lived in? And what has the resettlement process been like for you?
I think for my first 2 positions, Abu Dhabi and Beijing, ignorance is bliss. So when you're young, you just go on. Like you're like kicking it, right? When it came time for me to go to London, I had to be very strategic because, you know, as you get older, you have to think about salary, you have to think about retirement. I had a dog I was trying to transition to London. So there were so many other things on the line, you know. I was starting a new relationship, and it, like, all this stuff was just happening at once. And I didn't land on my feet in London for whatever reason. And I love London as a city to go visit. And that's another thing people underestimate. They think, oh, I can travel so I can live overseas. It's very different being a tourist from being immersed in these environments every day. And I thought, and quite ignorantly, I thought, I'm moving to London. It's an English speaking country. It's across the pond. There won't be much to adjust to. Joke was on me. There was a lot to adjust to. And by the time I realized what was happening, I was too far. I don't want to say depression, but I was too deep. And, you know, and I was trying to dig myself out of this hole that I didn't even realize I was in. And so then moving to Cairo, I actually had a job offer in Mexico and a job offer here in Cairo. And it just made more sense. And I remember telling my coworker in London, I said, if I get this job in Cairo, I'm taking it. And sure enough, I got the job right 4 days before Christmas.
Oh, wow. I remember that. I definitely remember that. I was so happy for you.
Girl, my parents, because I told my mom and my dad, I was like, I'm just going to stay in London. My dad was like, bleepity bleep, you are not. He was like, we can't take any more Sunday night meltdowns. You know, like, no one was going to survive if I stayed in London another year. Wow. So, but being here, it just feels right. And I miss home. I miss my family. I miss my friends. It's far away. I keep getting further and further away from people, but it's like, it's where I need to be right now.
Yeah, I totally get it. I think, you know, one of the misconceptions, at least I can only speak from my own experience. One of the things that I was surprised about when I was living in Qatar, I had never worked with so many white people in my life. And so I wasn't expecting obviously, like, we know that white supremacy is ubiquitous, but I certainly did not plan to move 13,000 kilometers from home to be on the receiving end of that shit day in and day out. So I'm just happy that you survived London, because obviously it's not fair. You know, it's kind of less suspecting that you would experience that, like, you know, outside of like a European nation. But alas, as I said, that shit is ubiquitous. It ain't no escaping it. Maybe this pandemic is dismantling white supremacy. That is actually one of my prayers.
I mean, one can hope. One can hope. There has to be some good to come out of this, because we can't continue the way we've been.
So you also are a jewelry designer. How did you come to know that you were like had that talent as well among your many other talents?
Because I was dating this guy in Beijing. No, I was in Beijing. We were dating. He was in the States. And I was thinking, I really wanted to start, I wanted to start a business, and I wanted to actually make jeans, as funny as it sounds. And he was already a designer and had his own clothing line. And I wanted to have like an offshoot of his clothing line. And because, you know, if you know me, I have like a very, I got a black girl shape. So I have butt, thighs, small waist.
Right.
I'm 5'10", right? And so so I needed jeans that could fit my waist, fit my hips, fit my butt, and be long enough. And, you know, I wasn't finding them anywhere. And I still really to this day can't find. And I found a company out of Japan that could do these jeans for me. And my partner was like, no. He was like, he goes, you got to think about something. He goes, something on a smaller scale. He was like, think about where you are. And I was like, and I remember just like going to these markets every weekend. And I was like, I'm like in pearl heaven right here, pearls and turquoise and jade. And I was like, it just makes the most sense. And then I literally, within a couple of days, saw a flyer for jewelry making classes. So I signed up and I went through all the courses all the way up to advanced. And when I moved back to the States, I took a year off after being in Beijing. And that was the thing that I worked on. So it just, you know, my mom would wear my pieces and she would literally sell them off of her. She would come to my apartment and be like, okay, I need another necklace. And I'm like, where is my necklace? And she'd be like, oh, I sold it. Here's the money. You know? And she was selling my pieces for like coin. Not just a little bit, but coin.
Well, I mean, anything, look, let me just get this out the way. This is like top tier bougie black girl right here. So you know the designs are impeccable. How have your travels influenced the aesthetic of your design?
I would say every time I'm somewhere, I'm looking at the colors. I'm looking at, you know, when I was in Bali for like a couple of weeks. And so I took a jade making course. You know what I'm saying? So depending on where you are, it's like that. First of all, find me a woman who doesn't wear jewelry. And it doesn't matter whether it's high-end, low-end. Find me a woman who does not like to feel beautiful. You can't.
Yeah, that's
you can't.
You
know, so, and no, it's like food. No matter where you go, culture is, you can tell a person's culture by the jewelry that they wear.
Oh. I remember a few years ago, I was talking to Tyrone, and he was remarking about your jewelry. He said, if I ever buy a woman some like a piece from Kamara, like we go together. Period. Like we go together.
Yeah. And he was doing some cool stuff with his, you know, his high end couture as well, you know. So he definitely had impeccable taste.
So, but you're also, I mean, we can't forget to mention Cinnamon. Like Cinnamon is your beloved puppy. Well, she's not really a puppy anymore. She just looks like a puppy.
He turns 9 on Thursday.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't set up here and called your whole dog a herb. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay, because everybody's like, Cinnamon. They were like, are you sure he's not confused? I'm like, he may be, but that's okay. It's okay.
He's gender fluid.
He's gender fluid. Because when I tell you that this dog has been around the world, this dog has been around this. If you want to talk about a bougie jet-setting dog, this is it right here.
Look, that dog got more passport stamps than most people. So.
I mean, Alina, he went on the Queen Mary. He came to London on a luxury cruise liner.
I can't with you. I fucking can't with you.
I can't either because I wasn't on the boat. my partner was on the boat. I was in London. This dog and my partner stayed for 7 days on the Queen Mary. When I tell you, this dog has, girl.
I'm jealous of Cinnamon.
Me too. Me too.
So
he has my housekeeper making him home cooked meals every day. Like,
I saw that. Like, if I can die and be reincarnated as Cinnamon, my life be a-okay, honey.
Girl.
So you also you design a puppy couture line.
So I'm getting because I'm obsessed with my dog, and I'm not afraid to say it. Like, I'm obsessed with my dog, so we are in the process. And as luck would have it, all my products are from China right now, so everything is a little bit on hold. But we have cowhide leather collars with accessories to go with them. So it's we were supposed to launch in April, but we will launch before the summer is over, and yeah. We're excited.
I can't wait to see this because Cinnamon be fresh.
Fresh to death.
I'm gonna be jealous of a whole bitch, a literal bitch.
Right.
Okay.
Literally.
Really jealous of my dog. What has been the biggest lesson that you've learned about stepping outside of your comfort zone?
Oh, I would have to say, no matter where you go, there you are. You cannot escape yourself, your issues. You better. This is not for the faint of heart, because like right now with this pandemic, like just not unlike yourself, we're in lockdown and I'm alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I have people I can call. I know I can do the virtual Netflix party. I can Zoom into people and do happy hour, but I'm alone. And it is hard. Like, there are so many rewards, but you have to be stable in some way, shape, or form to be able to get through this, because because you never know when something is going to hit, like a pandemic. Right. You know, my girlfriend in Abu Dhabi was like, if only you could get here. You know, even her husband was like, I'd feel safer if you were here with us than alone in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And like, when you have friends like that, you really aren't alone. But but really, I am. I'm alone, and I'm in a foreign country where the borders are closed. You know, and while I'm safe, and I definitely feel safer here, it's like I said, no matter where you go, there you are. You have to be so comfortable in your own skin. You have to. So true. You have to. Otherwise, you won't survive.
Yeah, that's a fact. I'm a loner by default. But I think that also being like a 4-time expat for like the past decade is, I think that like those sensibilities have definitely become heightened. My social interaction skills are a bit off. They were always like that, but I'm like, I know I come off as being a bitch, but like, and I am kind of, but I'm also, parts of me is like mad socially awkward. And I think being a nomad and having mostly been a single woman as a nomad, it's like, it's me, myself, and I 365 days out the year.
Girl. And really, because who do you have to depend on? Like, you can have a partner, like, you know, it's my partners in the States, and that is hard. And that is hard because even if we wanted to, we can't get to each other. And honestly, even if we could, I don't know if we could survive 2 months together nonstop. We might don't make it. Like, not everybody's.
Yeah. I'm not the kind of bitch that would just want to be living with folk anyway. You know, I've done it a couple times, but I like living by myself. And I was just like, I could not imagine if I had some kids and a nigga up in here right now. I would be going crazy.
Right?
It's like going crazy right now.
It's like, oh, you still here? Oh, you still here? Oh, okay.
Oh my
I need you to go take a walk.
But it kind of sucks a little bit because I just started being courted again after that horrible breakup that I had. And I was like, oh, yeah, why would this pandemic hit now? And I'm like, girl, I'm like, you can't come over here. I don't know you. So we was just in that process. But like right now, you can't come over here, honey.
We could do some FaceTime, but because then folks want to get stuck talking about I can't go back home. Nah, boo. Nah, boo.
Nope. Definitely not. Somebody be leaving out here in a body bag.
No, and it won't be you. That's for sure.
What advice do you have for Black women who are aspiring to become expats? I mean, obviously, some
girl,
have to be
listen
put on
to your
now,
friends.
Say that again.
Do not listen to your friends. Do not listen to that peanut gallery that has not been anywhere, won't go anywhere. And do not trust your gut. Trust yourself. And if you want something, you are the only person who's going to make it happen. Do not listen to even well-intentioned people. I'm so grateful that I have parents who, even though my dad is like, when you coming back, even he knows that I'm happiest overseas. And he will always support my decision. He doesn't always like it, but he's never said anything negative. My stepmom supports my decision. My mom obviously supports my decision. But when I told people I was moving to Cairo, they were like, be safe. I said, no, you be safe.
Right? Right? That's my precise back as well. Verbatim.
No, you because I'm good. I'm all the way good. You know what I'm saying? So to Black women who want to do it, just do it. Just, even now, I was just on a call with my friend Kim West, and she's helping me create a course to get Black women overseas teaching, because we need this. Like, I need more people out here, and it doesn't matter where you go. I don't care where you go. Just go.
Yeah.
Just go.
That's great advice. I'm glad you went, and I'm glad that you got me on my way.
Yes.
I'm like, look, I don't cry. And it's a G tear about to fall right out my eye right now. You have advocated for me in a major way at two of my very darkest moments. And I love you forever and ever and ever for that. And it's so serendipitous that we meet each other in a travel group in 2011, and we found out that we have all of this like generational familial bonds. It's crazy.
Yes. But here's the even crazier part. I don't even think we've laid eyes on each other.
You know what?
We have not.
I was thinking about that. I was like, that is so crazy.
We may have been at events together, but I don't think I've ever
formally. No, and I fuck with you the long.
Right?
That's
but see, that's the power of like sisterhood as well. Like for me, it was nothing to give you the keys or the outline to get overseas. It's not like, ooh, she's gonna take a job that I have. No. There's more than enough. That's why I tell people, I don't care where you go. If you want to come to Cairo, come to Cairo. If you want to go to Qatar, go to Qatar. If you want to go to Bosnia, go to Bosnia. I'll help you get there too. Right? Like, there's more than enough for all of us.
Yeah, that's so true. Where can people keep up with your journey and follow you on social media, get some jewelry, get some life coaching, get their whole life together, girl?
I would have to say probably the one thing that I am most consistent with is on Instagram. So it's my first name, Kamara, and then my middle name, Afi, A-F-I. So It's Kamara Offie. And it really is. It's just the musings of me traveling, the dog traveling, you know, it just everything. All of my travels are on there. The dog's travels are on there. Even some crazy stuff is on there, but that will probably be, you know, the place where you could keep up and where things will be announced.
Okay. And I'll post all of the links to where people can reach you. Thank you for taking the time out to do this interview. And
no, of course.
I'm glad we're on the same continent. I hope once this all simmers down a bit that we could formally be in each other's presence.
Because I need to get to South Africa again. And there's so many things I need to do. And I think also this, and not even just Black women, I hope people in general understand, you, especially after this pandemic, you can't take one single second for granted.
At all.
If nothing, you like, I'm like you. I like to stay home. So I was built for this. I've been preparing my whole life for this. But you know what? After this, you have to be doing all the things with all the people. I'm going to hug up on everybody. Okay, maybe not hug.
Pause, big pause. Times have changed, honey.
I'm like, but I do. Like, I want to see my people. Like, you can't take anything for granted. So if you want to go to those places, go. And you know, even in our community, people are shamed for wanting to go to the same places over and over again. If you want to go to that little tired shack in the Dominican Republic, you go there. You go there and be happy. If that's where you want to go, then do it, boo. Because one thing for sure, you cannot take anything for granted. And this pandemic has taught me that.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time.
Shout out to our Patreon members. Thank you so much for your support. If you too are interested in supporting the Black Broads Abroad movement, keep up with us on social media, and that's at Black Broads Abroad, BlackBroadsAbroad, and that's on IG and Facebook. And if you're interested in supporting on Patreon, visit www.patreon.com/Black Broads Abroad.